This is another episode of Well That Sucked Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Hilton. Well That Sucked. It's Well That Something Podcast. So I changed the name. To from Well That Sucked to Well That Something, because Well That Sucked is juvenile. Like I said before, like in the gym.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I was like a time in my past that I thought I was like, oh, so cool. You know, I was trying to be like a shock jock. Stupid. But yeah, thanks for watching. My guest, Andrew Brown.
Hey everyone.
So
What's up, Ian?
We all know Matt Secre's the guy who was on last time, so all we're gonna do is just talk crap about him. So
That's been the dream of mine.
Yeah.
That's a good dude.
Yeah. So you do crime podcasting, right?
Yes, I host and produce, or I co-host and produce a true crime podcast called State Murderboard.
Mm-hmm.
That a good friend of mine named George Jared, he's written a few books that deal with some crime in the area, and so because of that,
In what area?
I'm sorry, in Arkansas.
Okay.
So it's covered.
Like towards it a little bit.
We cover kind of towards Arkansas-based crimes due to the name Diamond State,
Mhm.
but we have branched out. There's an episode that's covered the Golden State Killer. There's an episode that dropped recently that covers the Boston scandal in the Catholic Church.
Oh, really?
And
What was that about?
Really, a guy that we're friends with is actually was a child actor, and he was in the movie Doubt,
Mhm.
which is about it's not about, say, the Boston church scandal,
Mhm.
but it's about a priest in the Catholic Church that did he not molest a child, and he plays one of the friends that go to the school.
Right.
And so we talked to him about filming a movie with serious tones, because this movie came out in 2008, kind of around the time that it was just such a big topic. The Catholic Church, the scandals going on in the Catholic Church was such a huge topic.
Yeah.
So it was something that they...
And you know what's crazy about that? I'm sorry not to cut
No,
you
you're
off,
good.
but you know, the Catholic Church, they protected so many people.
Oh, for sure. And that's what's so interesting about it. There's a great movie that documents everything about that called Spotlight.
Mhm.
And it came out a few years ago, and it's about the Boston Globe, and they getting a tip to maybe look into this, and then they uncovering over 90 accounts in Boston alone,
Really?
and over like 7,000 accounts across the world.
Of like cases?
Exactly, yes.
Wow.
And it was exactly what you said. Basically, if the church knew, and again, this is no slap at the Catholic Church, this is just a situation that's happened, but basically they had set in place, if something happened that a priest was accused of something, they had a way for him to go to another, church in a different part of the world and just keep rotating that around. So it seemed like a lot of the higher ups were aware of this. And
So
had
what
a
they were
plan.
doing was if one priest got accused, they would just push him around to different churches.
Exactly, and then
Wow.
have someone come into their church with or without accusation, but to go into that sector.
Yeah.
And then so on. So, but we talked about stuff like that. But then we dive into, last week, or, in March, we covered a episode about the West Side shooting, which is something that's very near and dear to Jonesboro, Arkansas, where we're at right now. So it's close to the vest, and then there's some far off cases, but they all kind of just intertwine into the world of true crime, and murder, and some are cold cases, some are clearly solved, and the bad guys are behind bars.
So how do you do your research? How do you figure out these cases and find them?
So the plan originally, when me and George met to talk about the podcast, was he worked for the Jonesboro Sun for so many years, and a few other newspapers around the Jonesboro, Northeast Arkansas area, and it was really going to be, we dissect crimes that he's already covered.
Okay.
But then it just turned into different people that he kind of knew, and a few that I knew that intertwined, that it just made sense to get them on the show and to kind of have a new perspective on it other than just cases he's covered. We were able to kind of pick cases that we had somebody who was an expert on it, whether it was George or whether it was another news reporter, or we've had a bounty hunter on already.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
A bounty
so
hunter
cool.
that helps do basically independent justice for a killing in Tennessee. And then George is known for articles and a book that he wrote based off of the death and at the time the disappearance and murder of Rebecca Gould out in Mountain Home, Arkansas, without no one knowing who killed her. And
really?
What's weird is...
That's still a cold case?
Well, what's interesting, I shouldn't say weird, but what's interesting about it is the month we said, let's do it. Let's do a podcast. I want to learn how to produce. I know pretty well how to take a photo and how to do video, but
I've seen it. It looks good.
Thank you so
really
much.
good.
But I didn't know audio.
Right.
And so I was like, let's do it. Podcast are the one thing that I love to entertain me more than anything else. But so I was just like, I want to learn how to make one, so let's do it. And the month we decided we were going to do it, they convicted somebody of Rebecca Gould's murder. So we every few episodes intertwined back to that case because there's just new development. So it's kind of been if we had a actual if this was like a TV show and either you have the do bad guy of the week or you have like a serialized whole seasons dedicated to one case, Rebecca Gould's case would be the one that goes in and out of the other bad guys of the week.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
it's pretty interesting. We're trying to shoot. I think we got 20 episodes that we're recording. I think we recorded 18.
So when did you start?
November. I'm so sorry. We started recording in November. We started releasing them the week of Christmas, so December.
Oh, really? Okay.
2020.
And just for anybody who's interested, what are those platforms you put them on?
Oh, good. That's a great question. They're on Apple and Spotify. That's the ones that we can do for free right now.
I need to get on that level, man.
Yeah, Apple and Spotify.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I know. Well, YouTube, if we were smart, we would be like you and we would record them. I just, as you guys can see, not a great face for YouTube. Yeah. So it's more of I'm a face
That's not
for
true.
Radio is what they tell me.
That's not true. Yeah, man. So, good news coming your way. Well, I don't really want to jump off too far from this because I'm really interested about this. So this guy that you said that you worked for Jonesboro's son, does he reports on cases like that, right?
So he would
on his off time, or was that his job?
That was his job.
Okay.
He would get. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't, from what I understand, it wasn't like every day. It was just like murder. Put George Jarrett on the case. He would also cover, like dog disappeared or like, the downtown Jonesboro new restaurant going in, whatever it might be. He obviously he has those type of cases too. What really was the big one, and he'll tell you this, so know that me speaking for him is just him telling what I've heard from him telling other people as well as myself, is that so basically he was the main journalist for Jonesboro's son that covered the West Memphis 3 trials that happened in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
So when was that?
That was 2011.
Okay.
It was the end of summer. They decided to try them here to get jurors and everything that's not in Marion, or not. I'm sorry, not in West Memphis. That were so close to the case. So they brought it here to Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
And he was full blown working for the Sun at that time.
Yeah.
And he covered that case pretty thoroughly. He's one of the only journalists in the area that got to talk to Damien Echols on death row, as well as be there for the entire case. And he wrote a book about it in 2015, I believe was the date that his book released. He'll kill me if I was wrong, but he released a book about it that became a huge selling book. And it's just one of those situations. I don't know anyone who knows more about that case than he does, just for the preparation and research. So that's kind of what got him into the world of true crime. I mean, again, the Rebecca Gould murder happened in 2004, and he was working for a different newspaper at that time, and he was there when they discovered the body by him just doing some research for the article with him interviewing the police. He happened to just be there when they actually discovered her body, and he was been a big part of that case.
He was?
He was, yes.
Wow.
George was. So that's another, like I said, it just was coincidental that a lot of information came about her case the month we started doing our podcast. If you want to know more about the Rebecca Gould case, there's a national broadcasted, hugely famous podcast called Hell and Gone. And season 1 is 8 episodes, and it is all about Rebecca Gould's murder.
Really?
It's a woman named Catherine Townsend who I believe worked for Discovery Channel. Don't quote me on that, but she works, and she was able to come to Arkansas and do a lot of digging to help bring light to this case that was never solved.
That's awesome. And who's she? Was she like in a? Well, I guess she used to work for Discovery. So what kind of? I don't know if you knew anything about her.
I don't know anything outside of that she did that podcast. It's so interesting.
Oh, okay.
It's not like she's from around here or anything like that. She just was very very adamant on helping find her.
How long you lived in Jonesboro?
I moved to Jonesboro,
Arkansas.
or Arkansas. Yes, I moved to Jonesboro, Arkansas in 1995. Golly,
really?
Yeah, so I was 9 years old.
Okay.
We moved here. My dad was in the Air Force for 26 years, and I was adopted while they were stationed in Japan, hence the face. And when he retired, he promised my mom wherever her parents lived, they would move to.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's just like literally a spinning image of what my grandpa did here. You tell me, I'll bounce off that.
I got you. It's kind of, I think it must have been kind of like a generation. If you don't mind me asking, how old is your grandfather? How old is he?
He's 87.
Okay. Yeah. So my dad's 70 and my mom's about to be 70. So they're in the demographic, not the same generation per se, but in that same realm.
Did they have family here? Like generations of family here?
No, they ended up, they're actually all from Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
But it was one of those things, multiple people would move north, south, depending on what they could find for work.
Yeah.
And so that was my grandparents. My mom's side of my grandparents would come back and forth.
Yeah.
So that kind of was what it was entailing. But anyways, they lived in Bono, Arkansas, which is about 20 minutes away from where we live, or where we're sitting right now. And so they, once he retired, they moved here. So I was with that, and then I lived here until I was 25. I got married when I was 25 in 2011. Moved to Florida for a few years.
What part?
Melbourne, Florida. It's right below Cocoa Beach. It's,
that's right. I asked you that. That's right. You were from Melbourne and Cocoa.
Exactly, about an hour away from Orlando.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was from Orlando as well.
Exactly.
Just an hour. Well.
That's right, because we talked about area codes.
Yeah. But it's so funny though, because like my grandpa promised my grandmother the same thing too. Like when I retired, because he took her everywhere. Everywhere, because he worked for pretty big, well-known schools, I believe, in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, no, like I said, he's gonna shoot me if I get not like he listens to this, anyways. But he went all over the place, and he was in a big part of that school, in the teaching program, the music department.
Okay.
So he had his hand in pretty much everything in teaching and kind of having like an overwatch of like the department. Mm-hmm. So, they got to travel to Italy. They went there a few times and, sang in choirs and he was a conductor, so he was doing all this and stuff. But, my grandma said, it's like, when you retire, I'm going to pick where we live. Yeah. And it was right here, smack dab in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
So that's why you're here in Arkansas as well?
I was sort of. My parents, we lived in Florida for like almost 20 years. Right? I don't know how we did. I don't know how we survived Florida for 20 years. Because, 15 minutes away from Orlando, doing a lot of traffic and crap. But, so, I long story short, joined the Army, was away for 7 years. Got ran over by a police officer, so that ended my career real quick.
Absolutely.
And so I got out, and my family moved here back in 2015 to help out with my grandpa. Okay. Because my grandmother died in 2013. Gotcha. Literally, the day I was leaving for basic training, she passed away.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was there for our wedding, and like through the week, and she passed away like as soon as I left. Like,
so the wedding was right before you left as well?
Yeah. Gotcha. It was a week before I left. Okay. Before I got shipped out. Yeah. So they chose to stay here, and we chose to move here after the Army just to, help out as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Not knowing what we were going to do, so I had a settlement from that claim, from the police department. So it was like, it's not enough to buy a house, but it's enough to buy something that we can get up and travel in. Yeah. And what are we in? Right. Like we're in an RV right now.
Yeah, but it's, for the listeners at home, it is a very beautiful one.
Well, thank you. It's a brand.
It's very homely. Not homely. Homey.
Homey. Yeah.
Homely, I don't think is the
Well, if you can see the lovebird pictures back behind you, I know that's very captivating.
Gross.
So, going off that, my mom's side of the family has generations and generations of family living here in Jonesboro.
Wow.
Murray was her last name.
Okay.
Murray Creek is right over there by NEA Hospital, right?
Right.
That's where they first started.
So I
don't know. There's a big house off of, I can't remember say the road. There's a big house over on that side by 49. That's my grandpa's house, right?
Okay.
They built that house right next to where my grandmother was born.
Okay.
Anyway, they tore down the old house.
Yeah.
and then built a big mansion.
So, and it's so funny, like we talk about bouncing back and forth on mirrored images. My parents, not only did we move to Arkansas to be closer to my mother's side of the family, like my dad promised, we live in the house next to my grandparents. Like both my grandparents have since passed away, but we live next door. Yeah. So we growing up when I was 9 and we moved here, we lived next door to my grandparents, and my aunt and uncle, who was my mom's sister, lived across the street. So all three of us my families owned this property that was all of them just facing each other. Yeah. Like it was literally like what you'd see in an 80s movie or something.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's so funny how my dad, so our side of the family moved back. You know, because like, dude, I'm telling you, my grandfather lives a mile away from my parents. My parents live a mile away from my grandfather and my sister. Okay. They're all in a mile away from each other, and my aunt, okay? Yeah. And then I'm here. So, like, I'm a little bit further away, but they literally live off the same road. That's funny. I'm not even joking. It's crazy.
That is funny.
But, yeah, man. A lot
it's all over there in the hilltop region, is that what you're saying? Got it.
Yeah. You know my grandpa.
I do?
Yeah.
I have to, right?
I'll bleed this out, but...
Oh!
Yeah. That's my grandpa.
Really?
Yeah. He's been going to that trim gym since, like late 80s.
Really? Yeah. He told me, what phrase did he tell me? That's a Chicago phrase. That this is all making sense to me. I can't. It's something to do with luck, basically. Okay. And then I hit him with a Elvis has left the building, a joke that I'm sure he's heard 1,000 times. Oh yeah. But I hit him with that, and boy, he gave me the happiest smile on the planet. So that's hilarious. Yeah, I do know him. He, I call him Dr. Blue Gloves because he's always wearing a blue shirt with blue gloves.
He's so awesome. He comes in there with a fedora, man. He's so dapper.
Yeah, he comes in and he'll walk. It's what seems like 3 miles, maybe. It could just be that he's going a mile, but it would, it's slow.
He's a walker.
Yeah. So he'll just. There's some woman that he jibber jabbers with every time they walk.
Luna, get down, baby.
Luna, you're ruining my shot. Yeah. I'm the important one here. I know. I love animals. Can you down? I know.
Look at her. Look at that sad face. Dude, I'm telling you, look at a German Shepherd when they put their ears back. It looks like they're on they're tripping on something, or they're very concerned. They're like.
It's so funny to me that all Shepherds, because I have an Australian Shepherd and a Border Collie, and they, even though they're not in the same family as German Shepherds, since there's both working dogs, they all have the same looking face. Yeah, it's crazy. I love Elvis. Side note.
Yeah. So he's been going there for a really, really long time. He used to take us, my sister and myself, to go swimming in that pool. Back in the 90s.
Yeah. Crazy. That's insane.
And now I'm working out there every day.
Yeah, you are one of the dedicated ones, that's for sure. We got a select few that I'm like, well, I know at this time we're going to see him. Yeah. And I know at this time he's going to at least put up his weights. So.
Hey, let's talk about that. So it's funny.
Did Matt talk about that?
Yes.
I think he told me he talked about that.
He said, you have a good one. I want to talk about that. But he said there was this one point where he had to stop a guy because he had poop on his shoe.
And he was walking around with poop on his shoe?
Yeah, and he was left a trail from the bathroom up to upstairs. I don't know, something like that happened. But
I believe it. Here's the thing that's crazy. I don't make that face like negatively. I make that face because I 100% believe it. It is insane the mentality of manners that you find in public. I won't say even the gym. I'm not going to just narrow it down to that. I think about it in the realm of customer service, in the realm of retail, in the realm of just anything that has to do with the general public. The lack of manners is mind-blowing.
It's ridiculous, man. I had to really take a step back and not have to find more grace in people. Yeah. Because not everybody's going to be manners, because it's brought up differently. But the what I see in the gym too, and I want you to talk about this too, is when they're looking at you and they're lifting weights. Yeah. And they just leave the weights there.
It's hilarious. It is mind blowing to me. And truthfully, if I have to break it down because different days it's different mentality, but I truthfully think a lot of people see right through me. It's not the fact that they're watching me put up these weights or they're watching the guy with the work shirt on and the headphones in picking up weights. I think that they just see, somebody is is using that bench now.
Right.
They're not saying, oh, he's picking up weights. They just see somebody is on that bench. Because I have multiple people who will stop me when I'm re-racking weights on a bench and just say, are you about to use that?
Yeah.
Mind you, audience, I'm wearing khaki shorts and a work shirt.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Says
not
the name of the gym you're at.
Exactly. I'm not about to just start working out in khaki shorts. But anyways,
like, whoa, bro, whoa.
Yeah, it's so fun. But I think a lot of them just see right through. Now there's some that take a hint and will pick up around the area they are, and we're all thankful for that. And that's never our intention. It's honestly just to make it look clean. It's a kind of
organized.
Organized. It's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
There's issues, and some of it is just that there's certain people that. Just it is awkward to put some of the weights up. If you're on a squat rack and you're 5'2", it is hard for you to put the 45s on top. It's easier to bring it down, but to lift it back up, it's understandable. And it is my job to pick it up, so I'm never complaining. But it's one of those where they look at me and then they just drop it on the floor, and that's what I'm like. Oh, clearly you did that. Like you saw what I was doing. There's a few that I'm like, you clearly saw what I was doing. Yeah. So it is frustrating, but again, it is my job.
Well, the thing is too, man. One thing that bothers me is that man, I go down to the downstairs, almost kind of like the basement, I guess.
Yeah, we call it the chalk room, but it's like a dungeon. It's like a dungeon, yes.
It's when people deadlift, and I do heavyweight deadlift, it don't look like a truck.
Humble brag, he's so strong.
I got chicken legs. I look like an upside down pear, but anyways, that's beside the point. When you're deadlifting, and I get it, like if you're done lifting to your peak, you get to your top weight. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is re-rack all those weights, because you're so spent. But when you leave a bar there that has 4 or 3 45-pound plates on there, that bothers me. Like that one time I saw you go in there and picking that guy literally, I think, either saw you and walked up the freaking stairs, still looking at you, and then goes in the other room. And I'm like, what are you, like?
And there's moments like that where I'll literally make stupid, immature, juvenile noise to be like, you see what I'm doing? Like, there's a classy way to take the weights off, and then there's the dump it on one side, pick it up, drop them all on the other side so it makes a clapping noise, and I do that as well. But to remedy that, our owner has purchased a actual Barbell Jack.
I saw that. That's a great idea. People should start taking a flipping hint.
But no, this is what use it. They go. They do everything they can. That takes more work to move it out of the way, so they don't have to look at it. But again, different people. The only thing that sucks about that, and just makes me sound like a complaining baby, but it's like the bumper plates. If they're on the ground, they're so hard to pick up because they feel like you're going to rip a fingernail off to be able to grip the bumper plate. So like the Red 45s, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Because of how they're awkwardly shaped, there's no grip to them because there's no handle inside.
Like you have to push it against your foot.
Exactly, and then go under, and there'll be moments where my fingernail will get caught or something and try to pick it up. And all of a sudden I just picture a worst case scenario, my fingernail rips off and then I bleed to death, which is not a scenario, but that's how I see it in my head. Yeah. So, but no, again, it's part of the job, but it is so frustrating where I'm like, you guys watch me do this, right? I can go pick up one room, go to the next room, and come back, and it's probably worse than when I started picking up a half hour ago.
I know. I feel bad for you guys too, because sometimes when I go into the chalk room, it looks like, what it looks like? It looks like a 5-year-old went in there in a playroom. It does exactly what it looks like. It looks like a playroom.
Or it'll look like, you remember like Rugrats or cartoons and shows where it shows the an old school tire store and it just shows tires stacked up on top of each other. That's what it reminds me of. Is where it's just like there's the tires for the trucks, there's the tires for the cars, there's the tires for a moped, like all just stacked on top of each other.
Like a garage.
Yeah, exactly, a garage. Yeah. So it is rather funny.
But I do love all the equipment that you guys put up, man.
And it's a thing that's crazy. Again, I don't want to date this episode where people can clearly pinpoint where we're at, but we're going out of a COVID world, right?
Yeah.
It's hopefully turning around. We're hopefully in a post-COVID world, and to say that our gym has purchased new equipment that has gotten new bumper plates and we got 2 new machines and we got a few more on the way in the next few weeks. Last year we got 30 treadmills. Like to be able to say that we have new equipment coming through 2020 is stellar.
It's
fantastic that we're able to to turn things around to be able to still be successful as a fitness facility.
And you guys aren't jacking up the rates. My rates have been the same, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, we're hopefully too. I mean, that shouldn't be anytime soon. So that is a great feeling. We love being a locally owned business in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and being able to provide fitness and health for everybody. That sounds like such a recorded ad, but it is true.
Well,
like
you work there, so
I mean, we do. It sounds like it's recorded and pre-made, but it is definitely true that we enjoy what we do up there. Like I mean, like it's not. I don't want to say it's not a hard job to make it sound like it's lazy, but it's just. We can talk about fitness. Yeah.
I was talking with Matt. It's like you guys were walking around with 45-pound plates. You guys while you're running long hours.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. So like I don't track my. I don't plug in a workout for my Apple Watch when I'm in the world of cleaning up the gym, but it'll push me over workout goals by just carrying. You are farmer carrying or deadlifting on an average basis.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's
those 45-pound. Those 45-pound plates in the bigger side of the gym actually have handles on them.
Oh yeah. You're basically and then the other one too. The other ones that on the other side that are bumper plates with no handles, you're still having to basically work on grip form by just doing that. Carrying it.
I'm going to complain a little bit. Little things about etiquette too that bothers me.
Oh, I thought you were about to complain about our gym. Huh?
No. The people in the gym.
Yeah, for sure.
Is when I'm working out, and when you see somebody using a machine, is usually the weights belong to that person.
Yeah.
And they're like, this should be like, that's like their little hub.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, hey, I could be using that. You have like personal trainer or somebody coming over who doesn't, comes over and grabs the weight off. Like, I'm not gonna say nothing, but at the same time, like, I could be using that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's the same aspect that I used to make this joke and complain all the time. If you're gonna go see a movie, you go see a movie on a Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Good chance there's probably going to be no more than 6 to 8 people in that room. For some reason, all those other people sit in the same row that you sit. It just seems like that movement creates movement, and the same thing in the gym. They just see that they see your movement, and by you moving, they see, oh, by the way, there's a 45 next to him, there's a 35. But at the same time,
not even asking.
In your aspect of what you're saying, I'm in your camp because I'm literally like, there's 500 other machines with the same amount of weight. Why did you come right here?
Is it just convenience?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
And some people, honestly, here's what I've discovered working at a gym, because I do love working out. I've worked out since my divorce in 2015. I was just like, that's going to be the thing I'm known for, is working out. But I will say that it baffled me how many people use the gym as their social life.
Right.
It is their time to talk. It is their time to hang out. It is their time to BS about politics, their life, to complain about their life, to escape their life. There's so many different things. It might be that they want to go work out every day to see that one woman who's working out. It might be that their top 3 friends go up there so they can complain about their lives at home, talk about politics, who's president, who's not president. Everyone's a political expert, a scientist, a doctor, a weatherman, all of it going on in the gym, and it blows my mind.
I know.
But at the same time, I guess I do get it, because I like, if I'm working out with somebody, that's when we talk and stuff. But it is baffling to me when I'm the one cleaning up or working out by myself with my headphones in.
You can still hear the conversation.
You can hear the conversation, or they come up to you. They come up to me and literally want to talk to me. I'm like, well, let me enter this podcast talking about Justice League so I can talk to you for a second. And it'll just be the most, obnoxious thing. Just like, can you believe that President so-and-so had this conference last night? And I was just like, I don't have cable.
I don't care.
Yes, I have a news Apple app I check every morning when I use the restroom, number 2. And that's my extended news.
Yeah. But, it's the same thing, too. It's like, I'm there to make myself miserable for about like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But also, like, at the same time, like, it feels really good when I'm working out, especially when you can barely, like, lift your arms. I'm not, I'm not bragging, sort of am. And you're like, wow, I actually did a good job. It
is. It's like everything else. It takes concentration and it takes focus. Like, to work out, we could go in there, you and me, and work out and just do the same motions of whatever muscle group we're working out. And the truth be told, we'll burn calories, but we're not engaging the muscle, and you're not experiencing the growth that's desired. You might get leaner, you might feel better because you've burnt calories and taken caloric deficit into your body, but you might not be actually building that bicep or that lat. Like it took me 2 years to discover I never went down far enough for a bench press. Like think about it, like 2 years of me building my triceps, not building my chest, right?
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, it does take a lot of time to figure that out.
So you want to hear something funny about that?
What's
too?
that?
It's like I've never heard of CrossFit until I joined the Army.
Really?
Yeah.
What year did you say you joined? 13?
I joined 13.
Yeah. Okay. CrossFit was big starting in 11 when I got there. Yep.
Right. And so, like my first PT session with my platoon, we took 25 or 35 pound plates on an Olympic barbell, Olympic bar, like a bench. Took them outside.
Yeah.
And we had to do Indian runs up and down a hill.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is this called? They're like, it's CrossFit. Like, you never done it? I was like, no, I just lifted weights. And he's like, oh, well, you're in for a big surprise. So that week, I was like miserable. I was like, babe, like, I can't. I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I don't know what they're doing. But, like, huh?
I was just saying your wife.
Oh, my wife, yeah. I was like, it's called CrossFit, but it's like hell. Like, you're lifting heavy. Well, you're not lifting heavy weight, but you can be lifting heavy weight, and you're moving fast with it. Almost.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
the intensity level in CrossFit is mind-blowing.
It is. I love it now.
Yeah.
I don't do a whole lot of it, but I know what, and I can mix it in with weightlifting too. You know?
I have an unhealthy relationship with competition, and what I mean by unhealthy relationship is I'm not a competitive person, and I'm an extremely competitive person, but I don't get as competitive if I know for a fact in my own mind I'm probably not good at it.
Yeah.
So like it drives me crazy to do a workout that I'm competing with other people for weight and time, as well as competing with myself. I'd rather just compete with myself.
I get stressed out.
Yes,
I get so stressed out. I remember, like, once again, working out with my platoon, I was like, and they're like, you're not dying, shut up. And I'm like,
it's so funny too, though, because like every woman in our CrossFit style facility at our gym, and that we're talking about, can beat me in everything, and I'm not a sexist type of person at all.
That's all.
But it's just we have so much weird. I know every state does that, and I'm not just saying like all the time because they're lighter weight. They're usually doing heavier weight than I am and beating me on time.
A lot of stuff, so it just makes sense.
And that's what's so interesting and fun. Even though we're in Arkansas, like think about all the colloquial legends that Arkansas has. We just did an episode that's coming out, and when I say that, you guys do download. It might have already been out, but anyways,
heavy lifting throughout the week.
Robert
and
Johnson and the curse of the number 27 white musicians died at the age of 27.
And then on Sundays,
so it's just so interesting that it was where there's this whole legend that the age of 27 is cursed if you're a certain famous person. Because like Kurt Cobain passed away at 27, and Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse.
Man, I love that gym.
Stuff like that.
It's great. It has
and we have everything, and you're able to. So it kind of go every day into the world of pop culture. 3 months from now, you completely want to change your workout. We have every down south in our neck of the woods in the Delta. So that's what's great. Stuff like that.
We're close to Memphis.
Oh yeah,
Memphis.
And so we'll have some episodes either towards the end of the season or beginning of next year.
Because when that thing turns on, it's like, and we're like,
yeah. The Inception movie with the soundtrack where it's like,
you guys. Check them out on the True Crime. What he said.
It's a Diamond State Murderboard on Apple and Spotify, and then hopefully there'll be some more creativity coming out the window. Hopefully I can get with Ian again and talk about that.
Oh yeah, but you guys get a lot of downloads too. That's great.
We do. It is. We're very fortunate that George is in the realm that is hot. Like true crime. Ever since Serial back in 2011, true crime has been. I say that. I mean, like people were watching Unsolved Mysteries. People were watching Cops and America's Most Wanted.
So it's interesting to have your perspective on it. Unsolved Mysteries was a different perspective.
True.
With everybody's different.
That's true.
Everybody has their different opinion on cold cases, rape cases, murders, everything.
And it's I don't understand it. To be honest with you, I don't understand the appeal of listening to it, and I'm not knocking anybody who likes it because that's the demographic that we are reading to. So please download. But me myself, I enjoy knowing that justice is served and crime is stopped But some of the cases that unfortunately unravel due to the evil of humanity, I sit home and just go, well, is there an episode of Full House I can watch or something wholesome?
You have to be careful.
Because like if we're recording till 10 o'clock at night, from 10 to 11, I am literally watching anything that's comedic. I'm watching The Office or I'm watching Full House, which is not comedic, but it just brings me back to childhood memories. Or I'll watch Looney Tunes from time to time.
Dude, I watch Scooby-Doo.
Oh, really?
I love Scooby-Doo.
Dude,
But it's so funny that I want to bounce off that though. Like, it's when you take your mind to those dark scenes, one second, turn it off.
Oh, you're fine. We're pausing, audience.
Yeah, sorry.
We're pausing.
This is what I'm talking about. We have to yell.
Audience, if you hear me, there's an air conditioner going on right now.
And my German Shepherd's freaking out.
I am a storm meteorologist. I think that was redundant by saying both of those. So, by the way, there's a PS4 in here, so if you guys are wondering.
Oh, yeah.
He turned it off, but as you can see, it's still on.
It takes a second. Well, that's very professional. I hold it this
if you get warm during the podcast, we should have done a shirtless podcast.
Nobody wants to see that.
I brought dual layers, so
we'll just take our shirts off with like gold chains. And
Shirts vs. Skins podcast coming out this fall.
Everybody seen have you seen Melted Fudge? I'll show it to you right now.
Oh no!
no,
I got an oatmeal bowl. So.
There you go. No, but what I was saying was, we'll end this in a second. But or whatever, is that when you go down in these dark places, one of the questions I want to ask you is like, you go down in these dark these places, and your mind, like, is you're also controlling yourself, and you're also talking about it. And believe it or not, if you do much of it, a lot of it. I mean, do you see yourself like changing any in mental state by hearing all these horrific things happening? Or are you pretty stable?
No, it stays with me definitely. We were having this conversation earlier, me and some guys at work, and it's the kind of the same topic of just. For example, we were discussing. It started with discussing Saving Private Ryan because one of my friends is his favorite movie, and discussing that infamous D-Day scene that movie's known for.
Yes.
Anyways, it goes forward. We were talking then about the first time we witnessed death, because as in our generation, the internet blew up with different executions and murders that were actually filmed and somehow put on social media. And anyways, we were talking about that, and I was breaking it down to saying the tapes from the Kennedy assassination. Like, that was the first time that I witnessed a form of death. And it's an old camera from a far distance, but you're still seeing somebody's body become lifeless.
But now, they have, turned it into HD. So you're seeing skin and hair.
And I think I was I had to have been 13 or 14. It was, junior high history. And I have to think that at 34 years old right now, as we're talking, I can vividly remember sitting in that room watching that like it was like we talk about with September 11th, or we talk about different things. And so the point of that is it does stay with you. I know that they talk about different things in life that just stays with you, and one of them is murder, death, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, some of it's pornography for people, but different things literally stay with you in your mind. And so I do get this type of feeling of am I talking too much about this? Am I thinking about? But I think that the best thing I can do is, like I said, digress. I make sure that I do something to relax my mind. Right now it's Pokemon Go. That's my big relaxation. Is me and my fiance are competitive in Pokemon Go, and watching like I said, something that's there's a show on Apple TV called Ted Lasso. I rewatch it once a month because it is as joyous in humanity as you could find. So if I'm having a bad experience with discussing a child's rape and murder, I'm watching that, or something like that afterwards, like Ted Lasso or Parks and Recreation, something with joy and hope for humanity to kind of digress, because as much as there is crime, and we do this because it is more of an awareness. Obviously, anything we do, you hope that there's benefits of, if not payment, benefits of or if not fame, but benefits of just like, hey, like I did something, I created something. You obviously want that satisfaction that you've created something that people liked and is good. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, the truth be told, it's not like we just love discussing these type of situations. It brings awareness. Yeah. Like that Helen Gone podcast that I plugged earlier for Catherine Townsend about Rebecca Gould's murder. The downloads, it got hundreds of thousands to millions of downloads. Really? And because of that, it brought awareness to a case in Mountain Home, Arkansas, which is this very podunk town, no offense, Mountain Home. And it brought awareness to a case that because of that, had people talking, because the murderer who was convicted was out of Oregon. Think about that. Really? It was in Oregon where he was convicted. Nowhere near Arkansas, but it brought awareness to people in Arkansas and across the United States, just really wanting to be like, they haven't solved this, and people talking. And that's what we hope. Like we've already done about 3 cold cases, and we would love that awareness to get brought to help ease pain for people. And it's a tough subject matter. I know families might not want to hear us give information about something so near and dear to their heart that's traumatic, but it is helping others be aware of situations. And a lot of these situations could have been fixed if the victim just didn't turn around, or the victim just didn't turn their back on the person or anything like that, didn't go down that alleyway, or
one thing could have stopped
exactly and help prevent that in the future. Right. I know for a fact victims and their families would want that for other people as well. Unfortunately, they don't want to necessarily be the example, but since it is the way the path has been led, you would hope that everyone would want to learn from it.
And the thing is too, is like when you're talking and you're giving this information out, it stimulates people, and it stimulates the minds of people. And when you're stimulating a mind, that obviously one of those traits is you're going to question a lot of things. So
absolutely,
it's a great thing to open up people's minds about, and also just when it triggers, they're like, well, what about this? Something that you didn't cover, but they found it.
Oh, for sure.
And then now they're talking it, and they're spreading the word.
Absolutely.
Their opinions.
And it's so interesting. We could discuss a podcast, a movie. We could the Bible, an interaction that you and me had with the same person in our gym, and you'll take away something and I'll take away something different, right? Like we can discuss whatever movie, and no matter which one it is, your favorite scene and my favorite scene might not line up whatsoever, but we both enjoyed that we watched it. And the same thing with podcasts, like discussing these situations. Some of it will take away, this is disgusting, they talked about this person's death, this is uncalled for. And some will take away, I really have to think about what I do at night, how I act during the night. And some will think like, I would never let my child in that situation, and not even know that the child might have already been in that situation. And so again, it's truthfully, awareness is so important. And
not to bring any like ill will on anybody.
No, absolutely not. We don't want any ill will, and that's one thing that I struggled with at the beginning. I'm like, we're trying to, when you're doing research for school, you're doing research for like, okay, what can I do to make this sound better and be more presentable and professional? When you're doing research for a true crime podcast, you're legitimately just like, well, this is more graphic to talk about this part of the case. So, and I hate that is part of it. But it truthfully, it's not necessarily say I'm going to do this because it's going to get more downloads and people are going to be more excited to hear about this grotesque thing.
But you're also speaking the truth.
But it's speaking the truth in a way that is more interesting.
Exactly.
It's not, I won't say entertaining because that makes it sound grotesque, but the more interesting it is due to its description.
And you really think about it, you got to go back to even like being truthful with yourself. Sometimes it's hard to talk about the truth.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? With yourself or something that happens, but once you talk about it, it's almost like really relieving.
Absolutely.
You're breathing.
The truth will set you free. I know that's such a cheesy phrase. That's take it with a grain of salt if you're religious or not, because it stems from a religious standpoint, aka the Bible. But it is true. Like that state alone, whether you believe in God or not, like the fact is that you have a actual release of guilt when the truth comes out.
Yeah.
So it's so tough to go over the truth sometimes, but man, it really is beneficial for especially in like true crime. Literally, the word is true crime.
True crime.
Yeah. So it but hopefully we have a season 2 planned out.
Great.
And again, a lot of season 2 is going to cover. It's going to go more into more cases that George has covered there, and season 2 will be. Hopefully, I'm not speaking too much, but I think a lot of it will be more interesting cases as well, not just like death and cold case, but basic like, weird situations.
Hamburglar.
Exactly. It was weird and stuff like that for sure. Like,
Hey, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button down below, and leave a comment, like it, whatever, do whatever you want. It's all good. But thank you for watching this episode with Andrew Brown, and look forward to more episodes and more podcasts coming your way.